Hello there, everybody. Welcome to the Best Match Ever. This is a podcast where we watch professional wrestling matches and we rank them to determine which one is the best ever. My name is Chris Blasco. Joining me today are Derek Stone.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hancock.
Hi.
And Owen Johnson.
Good afternoon, everybody.
The match for this week, the first ever match that we will be ranking on Best Match Ever, is from May 5th, 1995. It is Atsushi Onita versus Hayabusa in an exploding barbed wire cage bomb death match.
We're going to start this list out with a bang. How does everybody feel about that?
I see what you did there.
And it's both a literal bang and a metaphorical bang. So
Yes.
It works.
The match starts out with a lot of backstage footage of Onita and Hayabusa kind of mentally preparing to themselves while the ring crew was busy setting up the cage. And it did a really good job of setting up this weird anticipation to the match that I really liked.
Yeah, and like for me, when I was seeing what Hayabusa looked like, I was like trying to figure out who he reminded me of, and I was like, oh wait, his pants look like he's Sabu, and then he's wearing some kind of a mask, and it looks like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. And when I figured that out, I was like, okay, that's good.
Yeah, he has such a cool, iconic look. It's simple though. It's just like he's a ninja, and he's looks like someone who could do really cool high flying moves. And I don't understand why this isn't something that has been like copied extensively throughout the independent scene. It just seems like a really simple thing to do. Dress like a ninja and do high flying moves, and it seems kind of like you're going to attract attention.
Yeah, it's kind of like that wrestling meme of showing people two different pictures. Who would you prefer watching? This one picture of Daniel Bryan, who's just, dressed like a guy, or like this really cool ninja guy named Hayabusa.
Yeah.
Like, of course, any stranger's going to say Hayabusa, so the camera does a couple of wide shots of the barbed wire cage, and it zooms in on this tiny little clock that's suspended above the cage with 15 minutes on it. I'm not sure how anybody in this baseball stadium is going to be able to see this tiny little alarm clock, but I thought it was worth pointing out.
That's interesting. I did not see the clock at the beginning of this match. So when they cut back to it at some point in the match, I was very surprised.
I didn't, like I said before, I haven't seen a ton of these types of matches, so I assumed that it wasn't just the time limit for the match or anything like that, but I didn't actually know what the countdown was for. And besides that, just the atmosphere at this point in the stadium is awesome. The lights are dimmed, there's smoke, there's blue lights, they're playing this, I mean, just for the DVD, I'd assume, but they're playing this kind of synthy music that almost sounds like it's out of a John Carpenter film.
So yeah, Hayabusa comes out first, and they have like backstage footage of him with these like really giant shoulder pads on.
It was mentioned earlier that he kind of like had this scorpion look to him, and it was definitely that vest. That vest looks like something straight out of the Mortal Kombat games.
I was thinking Green Ranger, like original Green Ranger.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah. Also, it looks a little bit like Nappa and Vegeta's armor when they get to Earth in Dragon Ball Z. I was like, oh, so he's a Saiyan. Okay. All right, this makes sense.
What is Hayabusa's power level?
Oh, man, I don't know. He's probably better than
Like
Raditz, because everyone is better than Raditz. But other than that, I don't know. He's probably better than Yamcha, because Yamcha sucks. So he's like in the thousands, maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 would be my guess.
So he's definitely high for a human, but he's not quite touching Saiyan levels.
Right.
Or higher tier Saiyan levels, I guess I should say.
A Hayabusa tier.
Ooh.
Oh no.
Okay, so with that being said, Hayabusa comes out and he's got like this really like, he has like a good fucking like jam for his music. Like I was really digging it. And then, after that, Onita comes out to Wild Thing by X. It's the same song that's used in Major League. So I kind of did some investigative research here, and I looked up on Wikipedia. And yes, it turns out that Onita started using Wild Thing in 1989, which is the same year that Major League came out. So Onita is definitely a fan of Charlie Sheen movies about baseball.
I hate this fucking song.
Good investigative journalism there.
I had to know.
Yeah, I was like, so we've seen Onita up to this point with the backstage footage, but I was kind of shocked watching him come to the ring. The music's great, but just like his gear and his very 80s mullet is like very opposite to the only other impression of Onita I have. The only other Onita match I've seen was him and Chono in '99. I might have been a Wrestle Kingdom, I can't remember, but not back then, but in the future from this match, he's got his hair cut short and he's just smoking and he has a steel chair and a leather jacket and jeans and he's just like such a dirty like leather dad. And here he's coming out like he's got his mullet and he has like his nice jacket and his like wrestling shorts. It's like completely night and day from like what I've originally pictured him as.
All right, so with that, the bell rings and let's get into the match. And before they even like lock up, we've got to talk about this referee and what he's wearing.
Yes.
This was probably the highlight of the match for me. Like, throw out all the explosions. My eyes were set on this referee for the entire match. Let's just say if I was chosen to be a referee and I was given the match to be an explosion match or a match where the ring has to explode at some point, you would think that you would wear something like a bomb suit that Jeremy Renner wears, like in the Hurt Locker or something like that.
I just wrote down right away, the ref looks like Dr. Horrible.
I wrote that exactly.
Yes.
I wrote, my notes say, ref looks like NPH from Dr. Horrible.
And it's important to note those ski goggles he has on.
Yes.
Yeah, he spent the entire match I guess teasing that there might be an explosion happening sometime soon by opening and closing the ski goggles throughout the entire match. I don't know, it was fascinating to me.
And the coat he's wearing, it's silver and it's got what looks like silver glitter just all over it.
It's so ridiculous.
It's like they bedazzled a hazmat suit.
We will talk about the ref a little bit more a little bit later. At the beginning of the match, Hayabusa attempts a spinning kick that comes nowhere close to landing, which I guess reinforces his ninja-like background.
Looked cool, though.
Hayabusa starts holding on to this headlock for what felt like minutes. Onita's trying to escape with a big old back suplex, and he's trying to shove him off, and he's trying to do traditional wrestling holds. But then, at some point, Onita kind of gives up, and he breaks the headlock by running both him and Hayabusa into the exploding cage. It seemed like a very effective counter. There was camera shots of the crowd after the first explosion happened, and they zoomed in on the clock, the little alarm clock at the top of the arena. And there is 10 minutes until doom via explosion.
Yes, at this point, I mean, up to this point, I wasn't super into the match because it's kind of, the problem you have with gimmick matches. You don't really care until the thing happens, But I was not aware that this ring was going to explode at some point.
Yeah. This first explosion actually caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it at all. I was expecting them to build up a little bit more to one of them hitting the sides of the cage the first time. As I was watching, I really wasn't anticipating that they were going to do it this early.
At some point, Onita whips Hayabusa into the opposite side of the ring for the second explosion. And I don't know, you see the explosion once, and the second explosion just kind of didn't really feel like anything special going on there, I guess. I guess everybody, at some point, you're just kind of like waiting for like the big finale, if you want to put it in fireworks terms.
Yeah, I think I said, like, it's hard to do rest holds when you literally go to the fireworks factory in like the first 5 minutes. I mean, the moveset of this entire match, outside of Hayabusa's amazing kick in the beginning, was all pretty basic. You got a lot of power bombs, you got a lot of suplexes. This is a retirement match, so maybe this is just what Onita can do at this point.
Right.
At some point in the match, Onita puts Hayabusa into a headlock, and it was funny because they just kind of like stumble around the ring for a little bit. And it looked really awkward, and then at some point you kind of realize what's going on, which is they set off 2 explosions. I guess they forgot which explosions they set off, so it's kind of a lot of just like standing around, like looking at different sides of the ring before they're able to find the third explosion.
Yeah, like when I was watching it, they were just standing in the middle of the ring, and I'm like, what is going on here? And then Hayabusa, he was in the headlock, and I saw him pointing one of his index fingers like at the side of the cage, and I realized that like Derek said, they forgot who had run into which side, and so they're trying to figure out which side was still rigged to blow up.
Also, just throw them into one of the walls. It's still wrapped in barbed wire. I think it'll do the trick.
They eventually did figure out which side of this cage had the explosions hooked up to it. And I wrote down here in my notes that this started the most exciting 3 minutes in pro wrestling history.
Yes.
Does anybody disagree with that?
No, you are correct.
No, like where we are in our rankings, you are correct.
Yes. During the most exciting 3 minutes in the history of pro wrestling, there is a really loud siren that just like kind of fills the entire baseball stadium. Like, it was so exciting, and like the match pace goes up dramatically. Like it felt like
it's like the end of an Iron Man match.
Right, yeah.
Where it might be tied or someone's behind and you're just hitting moves and going for pins as fast as you can because your life literally depends on it. Not literally, but literally.
Hayabusa kicks out of a power bomb, and the ring announcer at ringside is just losing his shit, yelling into the microphone. And I guess he's just telling everybody into the crowd to pretty much brace for impact right here because this match ain't ending. So we're going to see the ring explode.
Yeah, that was quite the wombo combo of getting the wall explode and then also Hayabusa's right in the middle of the ring actually exploding.
Yeah, like I loved how the whole match built to this part. But it looks like the shiny silver-coated ref has died.
Understandably.
He is down.
He's down on the ground. He is not moving. The goggles are off. They did nothing. He's done for.
The goggles, they're doing nothing.
He needs to be replaced.
There was some like replacement referee like that was wearing like a really nice green polo shirt that jumps into the ring and
yes, now that the explosions have gone off, it's safe to wear whatever you want.
Yeah, there's no more explosions. Maybe you just have to worry about all of the dirt that is now covering the ring.
Yes,
such a good
gosh. There was so much dust and just grossness, and I think that's also why Onita was wearing that just white tank top, so that when the bomb went off and the dust was there, he was super sweaty, it would just mix and you'd be like, oh, that's just really gross and disgusting. And then you see his arm that's got opened up, and it's just all the dust is in there. And I was thinking, man, I hope he doesn't get tetanus or something.
It's worth noting that the original referee is still lying down, like pretty much dead, like motionless at the side of the ring the entire time.
I didn't notice that.
Onita hits like 2 or 3 more power bombs, which is his finishing move. And after the third power bomb or so, he eventually pins Hayabusa. So after, this is Onita's retirement match. You would think, like smart booking wise, that you would give the younger guy the win on your way out, but hey, that didn't happen here. So what's your guys' thoughts on that?
He knew this wasn't his retirement match.
Those power bombs are terrifying. It was dangerous. I mean, it's hard to talk around, like, because obviously Hayabusa had some, his career did not end well due to similar issues that happened in this match. So it was just kind of, it's hard to look at. But yeah, good match.
Yeah, so the match ends, and there's actually like a lot of like post-match stuff to get into as well. Onita, I guess like the ringside assistants brought in a whole case of like bottles of water, and Onita, being such a good guy that Onita is, he already won this match. He respects Hayabusa, so he takes one of these water bottles and he like pours it on Hayabusa after the match, which I guess further establishes him as the top face of the company pretty much.
And just the danger of those explosions. It does a lot of things with one action.
Mm-hmm. And like after, as he's pouring the water on them, they're hugging each other, and Onita is talking to Hayabusa. And I would have loved to have been able to, 1, know Japanese, and then 2, knowing Japanese, being able to hear what he was saying, because I think that would have been really interesting, just to hear what he was saying and what advice he was giving or whatever it would have been.
It's probably Onita saying, "Hey, I'll be back in 18 months. Hold the fort down."
You'll get your win back. Don't worry.
Maybe. So Hayabusa is stretchered off, and Onita cuts this big, passionate post-match promo. Like, there's camera shots of like people in the crowd crying, and they cut back and forth between Onita in the ring and Hayabusa being stretchered to the back. And Hayabusa's cutting this promo like via stretcher, like he's laying down, and like there's Japanese news reporters that's asking him questions, and he's responding to them. And then the camera like zooms out, and you see next to Hayabusa on the stretcher is the dead carcass of this referee.
It was oh my god,
HREF, I'm so sorry.
This incredibly emotional promo. He's crying. He looks like he's been defeated, like he has the weight of the world on him. And for whatever reason, this cameraman zooms out, and the referee is just motionless, laying there. He's dead. It completely undercuts, hilariously undercuts the emotion of the promo, and it just turns the entire feel of the atmosphere completely 180.
So Hayabusa is eventually taken off in a ambulance, and there's also a post-match press conference with Onita, just kind of like how they do in New Japan after most of their matches. This room that the press conference was in, like behind Onita was like what I thought was a green screen, but the camera zoomed out, and the entire fucking room is green. Did anybody catch that?
Yeah, Onita's streaming on Twitch.
Yeah, it looks like
Onita's really into Fortnite.
All right. Well, this we've come to the point in the show where we would typically, and we will in the future, rank the match we watched and determine if it is in fact the best match ever. However, since this is the first episode, this match wins by default, I guess.
But it's also the worst match ever.
Yes, that's true. It is the best and worst match ever. Next week, we will have a best match and a worst match. So, it'll be okay.
But as of now, we can all safely agree that Atsushi Onita versus Hayabusa in an exploding barbed wire cage bomb death match is the best match ever.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
I agree.
All right, it's agreed. It's official. I put it on the list. Number 1.
Very good. And that'll be the end of the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all next week for the best match ever.